Welcome to the Shift into What's Next podcast, where embracing change can ignite a world of possibilities. Hey now, I'm your host, Elise Ancel, and welcome back to a space where we keep it real, faith-filled, and focused, even when life doesn't line up the way we thought it would. Today's episode is for anyone who's been wondering, if I'm doing what God asked me to do, why does it feel like everything is going in the opposite direction? We're calling this one, Just Keep Trusting. Yes, that's right, even when the steps don't match the promise. Let's be honest. There are moments in our journey when the path God has us on makes no sense at all. The process feels slow, delayed, confusing, and nothing about your current circumstances seems to reflect what He promised you. You were given a word about healing, but all you see is pain. You believed for provision, but the numbers still aren't adding up. You trusted Him to restore, and now it looks like it's falling apart completely. And in those moments, it's easy to start questioning the promise. But here's what I've learned. The problem is not the promise. The problem is how we expect the process to go. God didn't promise it would feel easy or linear or logical. He simply promised He'd be with you and that He'd finish the work He started. When the steps don't make sense, that's when trust really gets tested, because trusting the promise means continuing to move even when the terrain looks wrong. It means staying faithful even when the timeline is unclear. It means remembering that obedience is progress, even when it doesn't look like it yet. Sometimes, just sometimes, the detour is the direction. Sometimes the delay is a layer of protection. And sometimes the confusion is just part of the construction, God building your faith before He reveals the next phase. So let's unpack this a little more and get into a few insights that might meet you right where you are. What feels off to you might exactly be right to God. Just because your steps aren't lining up the way you imagined doesn't mean you're off track. You're just walking by faith, not by sight. And God's process often looks like progress in reverse. When He prunes us, it looks like loss, but it's actually growth. When He reroutes us, it looks like delay, but it's really alignment. Next, obedience doesn't always come with instant confirmation. You may not get a sign at every step, but trust is taking the next one anyway, because He's proven trustworthy before. And finally, you don't have to understand the whole plan to trust the one who made it. The promise still stands, even when your situation looks nothing like it. So let's think about this for a moment. Think about a time when you obeyed God, but things started falling apart. How did you respond in that moment? Perhaps you felt confused and even frustrated because you thought obedience would lead to clarity, not chaos. But now looking back, you can see how God used even that mess to lead you somewhere better. Next, what part of your life right now feels misaligned with what God has promised you? Perhaps right now, it doesn't look like anything you prayed for or what you believed. But I know for me, I'm choosing to trust that just because I can't see it yet doesn't mean it's not working. And finally, what would it look like for you to keep trusting today, even with no new evidence? Perhaps it would look like staying in position, continuing to show up, taking one more step without needing all the answers, because you know God is still writing the script. As we wrap up today, let me speak directly to your season of uncertainty. You didn't get it wrong just because it got hard. And just because you haven't seen the full promises yet doesn't mean God walked away from it. The process may be slower than expected. The path may be messier than planned, but the promise is still intact. So even if the steps don't look like the story you were expecting, just keep trusting. Even when it's frustrating, just keep trusting. Even when it feels like nothing's working, just keep trusting. Even when you have more questions than answers, yes, just keep trusting. Because what looks like a setback might be a setup. What feels like silence might be strategy. And what seems like confusion might be the construction zone of your next breakthrough. You're not off course. You're being carefully guided. So breathe, release the pressure to figure it all out today, and lean into this truth. He's still working. He's still writing, and he's still faithful. Until the next time, stay grounded in grace, stay focused on the promise, and whatever you do, just keep trusting. Thanks for joining me today. If you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and like, share, or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. And feel free to leave a comment. I'd love to hear how your shift is unfolding.